Today what we're going to do is take a look at how to fancy up information that you have stored in a database. What we did last class was take a look at how to create raw data and then just quickly look at it and look up information about it. Today what we're going to do is take stuff that looks kind of dull like this, like we were taught last class, and try to fancy it up by using these things called forms and try to make something that looks quite a bit more sophisticated. Now we won't get this nice today, but we eventually will learn to do stuff like this and have these little tabs at the top, so it makes it look really cool. The second thing we'll do is take a look at reports. And with reports, what you do is make your stuff look really nice for the printer, not just for the screen. So here's a sample report that we've got, and it would be strictly for the printer. Okay, and again, we won't do one this nice today, but we are eventually. Okay, so let's create our simple database and learn how to use forms and reports today. So we'll start off and press database, and we're going to call this database forms and reports. Okay, so after you press create, we're not going to do it ourselves this time. We're going to save some time, and we're going to get external data, and we're going to go to demos 2000. We'll use this almost on every example we're going to do for the next little while, and we'll load in people. This might look familiar to you. We did something like this a couple of days ago where you had people's names. We've added on a few other features to it: postal code, social insurance number. And what we're going to do is take this and make it look a little bit nicer. Right now, that's the raw data. Okay, and what we're going to do today is press these two guys and make it look a little bit fancier. Okay, so we're going to press form first. All right, that's the first example, and we're going to press new, and then we're going to use a wizard today. And a wizard basically does a lot of the work for you without you having to do all the little nuts and bolts things. That's kind of cool. Now the wizard wants to know who you're talking about. We've only got one choice right now. That's the only table we have, and we'll press OK. And now what the wizard's going to do is ask us a series of questions and lead us through what it needs to make a fancier version of this. So first thing it asks us is, what stuff do you want to keep? Well, I want the name, I want the street address, city, and postal code. I don't want the home form or the social insurance number. Okay, next question. It says, do you want to have it columnar or tabular? So that's what tabular looks like. That's what columnar. We'll do both, and let's do columnar for now, and we'll press next. Next thing it's going to ask us, it's got a couple of different looks to it. Okay, so you can pick one that you like. All right, I'll pick standard for now. Press next. Give it a title. I like that title. I'll keep that, and I'll press finish. So, whoa, there it is, that little tiny thing there. There is a different look to how your data is presented. Now, in this look, what's so cool about that? Well, you want to add more stuff? You can. You press this guy right here, and you can add a new person. I'm going to put Tom Smith. He lives at 200 Main Street, and he lives in Hamilton, and his postal code is L9C5X4. And now Tom Smith is part of the database. And you're going, prove it to me, sir. Well, I'm going to close this for a second, and I'm going to go to Table, People. There's Tom Smith. Okay, you notice that he doesn't have a home form or a social insurance because my form didn't have that, but it was put in there. And the way you were looking at it in my first example is how you would get it at it if you were working in a store where it's a professional looking database. So if you're working in some system like Canadian Tire, they would present it to you in a bit more sophisticated look like that. Let's try the second form that I didn't show you. We're going to go Form Wizard again, People. We'll pick them all this time. That's kind of like the cool way to pick them all. And we'll do this other one called Tabular, which is going to have a slightly different look. All right, we'll pick rice paper this time, and we'll press Finish. And here's Tabular. Kind of different, eh? All right. And again, down here is how you can add stuff. You can delete things. Okay. Forms are for you, the user, on the screen, as opposed to how we're going to show you the second thing called reports in a few minutes. I also want to show you something in the underground for a sec. I'm going to press this thing right up here. It's going to take us into the underground. Whoa, what's this stuff? Well, this is how you can change stuff. Like if you wanted city to be last and social insurance to be over here, you could drag that and you could drag that over there. Now you got to be careful. You got to switch the other stuff too. These are just the titles. So this thing that says form header, that's for the titles. Details are where your actual raw data is. So now I got to drag that over there, and I got to drag this over here. Okay, and then so how do you get to see it for real? Well, we're in design right now, so you press this little thing up here in the corner again, and there it is now, and social insurance is in that column, and cities in that. Now let's take a look at reports, the second way to present your data in a fancy way. Reports, like I mentioned, was for printing. All right, we're going to use a wizard again. Love the wizard. Okay, makes things easier. Only got one choice right now, people. Okay, and I'm going to press OK. Again, it asks us, how do you want it to look? And actually, I don't want home form, so that's how you delete it if you don't want it on that side. We'll grab street, city, and postal code. We'll press next. Nothing special here. Don't press anything there. Here, I guess you could sort it if you wanted to. All right, you don't have to. Press next. Tabular is the way to go. I don't like columnar when you do reports. Tabular is the best way to go when you do reports. Press next. It's going to ask you for a style. I'll keep the one that it's got right there. All right, nice title. Keep that. And then I'll press finish. Okay, now remember, this one would be not for a person on a computer screen. It would be for you to print out on a piece of paper, and you can sort of see how it almost looks like a piece of paper there, and you could print that out. Now, what if you didn't like that title? Or what if I ask you, and I'm going to on the assignment, to put your name up there? And what if I wanted these rearranged or a different font or something like that? Well, you use the same idea I showed you a few minutes ago. You have to go into the underground. So let me press this for a second. View. And now you're in the underground. Oh, there's all kinds of weird stuff here. Let me just move this over here for a second. This one has a lot more parts to it. It has the report header. That is something like a title that shows up at the very first page. So if you had 20 pages, this would only show up on the very first page. Page header shows up at the top of every single page. So all 20 pages would have this every time. Detail is like that last thing. This is where your raw information actually is. Then you've got a footer. That's only stuff that shows up on the bottom of every page, and this one only at the bottom of the very, very last page. And again, how do you see this stuff? You press here. It brings you back to here. And if you go right down to the bottom, see how it has the date? This is the date I'm recording it, and the page that we're on. And there's only one page because it's pretty short. So how do you change this title or add a new thing to it? Well, that's where this thing over here called the toolbar, and I'll stretch it out a bit more, toolbox, comes in. So if I wanted to type in another word, like my name, see these little things here? You got to pick one of these two, right? So I'm going to press this one. This is called a label. And I'm going to draw a big rectangle, and then I'm going to write my name in there, okay? So you can just write down your name, okay? You can do a couple of different things. You could, if you wanted to, then push it over here. You could stretch this and move it over here, all right? If you don't like that font, you could change the font. Chances are if you right-click, a lot of times you'll be able to change the fonts there. So when you right-click, you get into this screen. It's kind of a weird screen, and it says Format, and you can change a bunch of things there. There's all kinds of little things that you can stretch out here. So look at all the different things here. There's font name. You can change that to something else. Okay, so there's all kinds of neat things, and it's always usually by right-clicking on stuff. Don't have to do that right now, but that's what you do. Okay, kind of cool. I saw something I really liked. I'm going to right-click again. What's this stuff here with the fill color? What's that? Oh, it changes the color. Let's change this one. Okay, so there's all kinds of neat things that you can do. Now remember, you're printing this on a piece of paper, so if you don't have a color printer, this isn't going to help you that much. But just for fun, let's see what it looked like. All right, so snazz it up a little bit so you can change the look of it that way. Okay, so now how are you going to use these ideas to do something sort of meaningful? Well, here's an example. You know how you have this people table? And how about I want to print out a report, but I only want the people that live in Kitchener. Okay, so you notice that most of them are in Kitchener. One guy's in Waterloo, and Tom Smith, who I recently added, is from Hamilton. So how would you do that? Well, that's a two-step process. Okay, and this is going to be one of the most important things you have to understand with Access. Most of the stuff that I'm going to ask you, whether it's mathematical or like looking up stuff, it's always going to involve the query first, and then you're going to have to show it to me. So you're either going to make a report or a form. So let's actually do that one right now. I want only the people that live in Kitchener. So I'm going to press query, and I'm going to press new. And if you remember this from the last lesson, I'm going to add the people table. And what I'm going to do is I only want the people that live in Kitchener. I don't even really want their home form. So I'm going to grab the street address, city, postal code. Okay, now that's the things I want people to see. Remember, but I only want Kitchener. So see where it says city? You have to type the word Kitchener. You have to spell it right. Hopefully I spelled it right. I press this button. Hey, there's only the people that live in Kitchener. Now, this is really important. You've got to save this because you're going to use this in a second in the next part. So that's Kitchener. Okay, and you press OK. So now you've made a query called Kitchener. If you click on it again, it only shows you the people from the master list, okay, and only the people that live in Kitchener. Now, I'm going to ask you on the assignment you're going to get in the next day something like this. So you're going to have to do some dirty work like we just did, and now you've got to print it out or make a form. Most of the ones I'm going to give you on the assignment you're going to print out. So let's press report, and we're going to press new, and we're going to use wizard like we've done in the last couple of minutes. But here's the new part. Now there's two things here, not one, but two. And I told you I want a report of the Kitchener people. So I'm going to press Kitchener, and I'm going to press OK. I want all these guys. I'm going to press next. Don't touch this. You don't need to know what that is yet. I guess you could sort. Don't need to. Like tabular. Don't pick columnar for reports. I like tabular. Press next. Okay. This is where you pick the style. You can pick whatever style you like. Okay. I like bold. I'll try that one. Next. Okay. And you could change the title right here if you want. Kitchener people only, or something like that. Whatever you want to write down, and then you press finish. Okay, and in a couple of seconds, it'll make the screen that looks like a piece of paper. Okay, and here it comes, and there it is. Okay, now what else would I ask you to do on the assignment? I would probably ask you to put your name. So you press this, and you make a little rectangle, and you put your name. Okay, I might ask you to change the colors, add a few things, other stuff that we're going to learn later on. We'll learn with these other buttons. But for now, for the most part, you might have to rearrange some things or change the font size or something like that. But nothing major. Remember, to change a font or something, the way it looks, hey, you can do that. It makes it look like a little bit of a shadow there. That's kind of cool. How about we change the font of this? How would you do that? You go to Properties, and there's the font name. You could change the size of it, something smaller or bigger. Don't want to get too crazy because then it's going to look stupid. Let's go 18. All right, see how it went a little bit smaller? And when you grab this, you move it around. And then, again, how do you look at it again? You press here, and it shows you what it looks like right there. Okay, so now I'm not that crazy about what I just did there, especially with that one, but you get the basic idea. Okay, so that's today's lesson on how to work with fancying up simple raw data into forms, which are usually for computer screens to enter information, delete stuff, and things like that, and reports, which are almost always for like printing out stuff to hand in to people, your boss, Mr. Shirelli, the teacher, or whatever.